Okay, our final topic is on being relevant, and they're going to be talk about continuously proving and communicating despite change, because I think just about everybody who's been in a position for a while knows that change is kind of a fact of life. John has an interesting viewpoint of being like a commercial printer, which I thought might be a little controversial to talk about.
Well, we're constantly being challenged to perform like one. And I consistently prove to them that we're better than a commercial printer. The reason why this is my first year is because I've always been at all the commercial places. My job, I look at my job as I need to know what they're doing. Even if I don't have budget for it, I go to the webinars, I go see what the equipment is. I need to understand it, because if somebody then comes and says, this commercial shop came to me, they have this capabilities, I at least understand what the financial aspect of it is, and whether or not we can then offer another solution. So the designers are consistently saying you need to perform one like one. Well, we won 3 gold awards. How many did your commercial printer win? So we're very competitive, and I'm up for the challenge. And there's been some times where we took a couple on the chin, but we've learned from it, we've grown from it, and in here, what's great about this organization is you guys share. We have war stories. We learn from each other. Over there, they don't talk. It's all about learning what the new technology is and then taking it back and digesting it. So my job is to do that and figure out how that will impact our team and the company and what we can do to take the steps ahead to make sure that we're relevant.
Great. Doug's going to talk about educating purchasing. I think he's got some good ideas on that.
Yeah, well, if you're like me, at this point in the conference, mind is full, there's very little left room to absorb. Write this one down so next week you can read this one, because this one works for me, and I didn't expect it to, but it does. I'm a numbers guy, I like graphs and charts and things like that, but talking to my finance officers and my purchasing people, they speak a different language yet. And it may come as some surprise to you. I report to people who don't understand printing, surprise, or printing equipment. So when I go to them and ask for a new copier, they're like, didn't we get you one 5-6 years ago? And they want to know why I want another one. So what I did was create a 3 to 5 year plan, which we update annually. On the plan was the numbers for my finance people and purchasing people. What it is, not what it does so much, a folding machine is a folding machine to them. How much it cost me, and how old it was, and what the useful life is expected to be. And that gives them a sense of what I've got that's 10 years old, what I've got that's 8 years old, but also that it was only expected to last 5 years, and we're using it at 8 and 10 years old. So those are prioritized, coming higher on the list. So 3 years out, they're understanding that I'm going to be coming to them and asking them for a new machine to fit that category. It's been really surprising to me how well that's worked, because they can see it coming then. When I went to them beforehand and asked for them a large chunk of money, they were surprised and said, well, we don't have money in the budget for that. But since I told them 3 years out, they're holding money for me in their back of their minds, so when that pool of money is there, I get a piece of that 3 years from now. So my 3 to 5 year, I finished the first one in 3 years, and I'm in the year 2 of the second one, and it's basically scripted. I can tell you what I'm going to get next year in the budget. Don't tell the vendors that. I've been working on making sure that they all talk to me about other things. But my purchasing people are also talking to me on a regular basis about what I plan to do next, or what I meant at this conference. And it's surprising how well that works, because they see my plan.
Great advice. I'm going to ask him to take one more minute, because he used one of John's ideas. It's in the book here, and it had a wow moment.
Let me tell the story.
A different language?
Do that one, the language.
So, we have a department CFO that every month I sit with, and we talk about finance. You make sure you have somebody who knows the numbers. You got to have one of those guys. And I go in and prep, but the one thing that shocked me is I went in there and I kept saying the word savings, and she just stopped me right there. She said, stop using the word savings. Going forward, you're going to say cost avoidance. She totally threw me for a loop that whole day, but that was a disaster meeting, because every time in my head I had to think of, but since I've started using that word, cost avoidance, instead of savings, I get through so many meetings. It usually be hours long. I'm actually in meetings for like 15, 20 minutes, and that word, cost avoidance, evidently to them explains that it never was ours to begin with, but savings at one point could have been ours. So that little tip has helped me in a lot of ways, and it actually worked for you. You used it as well, and you said you went right through.
We talked 3 weeks ago on a conference call. I learned that trick. I went, that's got to be too easy. I put that in a proposal last week. I went to my department finance officer in a day for the proposal. And she takes 3 weeks to get through emails and meetings and arm wrestling to get that. I used the word cost avoidance in my proposal. In a day, she understood what I was talking about.
Pretty cool, huh? Okay, Robbie's going to talk about building advocates.
So one of the things that's been real successful for our implant shop is relationships, and of course, the numbers are important, but relationships has been really important, building up with senior management and just having the advocates to be your cheerleaders when the question is why do we have the implant shop? And I know this cost savings is always there, and you can show that with numbers, but sometimes it takes a little bit more than that than just numbers. You got to have the relationships built. So that's really what has been successful for us.
And Shelley talks about knowing your customers.
Knowing your customers is very important because it's very easy to get equipment you don't need or provide services that they don't need. And sometimes one of the examples I could use for us, we used to do a lot of cone binding and laminating. And that takes so much time and so much manpower. And we really, with 3 full-time people and doing as many copies as we do a day, we don't have time really to do a lot of those jobs. And all the schools have cone binders and they have laminators. They just don't want to do it. So it's been a slow transition, but we are now not laminating and not doing cone binding, and nobody's upset about it. It was an easy way to just slowly, this is something that if we need to do this, we can't do that. And nobody ever took it as I was saying no to a job. It was because of the way we said it, the way we did it. We took a long time, so they were prepared. I actually provided all the equipment for one school that didn't have the equipment because I was getting rid of mine, so they got it. And then one of the scary things to do is to send a survey out asking for people's how they feel about your service, how they feel about the time frames. Are you doing a good job? And I know nobody likes to do that, but you get a lot of good information, and they actually get open to you because you're opening yourself up like that. They feel like you're listening to them, you're taking into what they need to be done. I've gone out to a lot of the principals and talked to them even before we started the RSA, and I said, what are the main things you need? What are the important jobs that need to be done? And so we were able to focus on those things and get rid of some of the equipment that we weren't using anymore, or we're just using now and then, that kind of caused a bottleneck because we really didn't have the manpower to do it. So that's that.
Great.